Hello, everybody that is listening, that will be listening, and if you aren't, you should be. It's Grizzlies Worldwide, episode 24, and this evening I have with me Eric Adamcik and Rebecca Jackson. First of all, I want to thank both of them for being here, and we're gonna talk a lot about the current moment the Grizzlies are going through. So let me start by saying hello to both of my guests. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, Eric. How are you, both of you? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Ricardo.
Uh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm doing fine.
So, okay, that's cool. So, um, it is I haven't been podcasting in months. Um, I've been feeling like doing this episode for more than a month. Only now was possible. I think it is a turning point in the cruises, and both of you both of you are people that I really want to hear your thoughts on the current moment of the cruises. So let's start right away. The main theme, of course, is rebuild, and we're gonna go uh, for for parts here. First of all, the rebuild. Do you think that it was necessary? Um, Ladies first, Rebecca, please.
Necessary. I, I, I don't know. It just feels like over the last handful of years, like the team has been picked apart, and now we're in the final stages of it, and I just don't know how necessary all of it was. I mean, you hear a lot about small markets having to build through the draft, and that's why the team wasn't built out around John Jaren the way maybe it could have been if they were in a bigger market. But I I don't know. I just feel like the organization let them down. But that's just me, and I'm very emotional about the whole thing. Jaren's my favorite player, so really upset. Like I still am very upset about him not being there, even though logically I feel like he's in a better position now than he was with the Grizzlies for sure.
So I take from your words that maybe it was not necessary, but maybe it became necessary because of the direction the organization was taking.
I mean,
Uh,
what direction is it though? Like, I mean, I've only been a fan since 2018, since Jaren's rookie year, um, and I feel like in that time, like post 2022,
mhm,
um, that they kind of have, like I said, sort of like there was this kind of air of like not a rebuild but a retooling that was a big sentiment over the last handful of years,
mhm.
and now it's okay. Now it's a rebuild, so I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I know I'm in a minority. I think a lot of people, are just like, okay, onwards and upwards. Like this is where we are now. Let's go. And I just don't feel that way. I don't know.
Yeah, me too, me too. Um, Eric, was it necessary at this point?
That's a good question. I like the way you phrased that, and Rebecca, I like you being vulnerable about what Jaren meant to you.
Mm.
Um, I personally have yet to read his letter to Grizzlies fans because I just can't put myself through that right now. Um, it helped last night, I think, to watch the Utah Jazz visit and not have him on the floor. I think that really helped in terms of just um, absorbing that he's gone. Um,
Mm.
to me. But I will
Mm.
say, as far as a rebuild being necessary, it's interesting because I think Memphis basketball, whether it's the university or the Grizzlies, I think it's just a big story, a big history of what ifs in a lot
Right.
of ways. I think that's where we are. Is Memphis, from a basketball perspective, is the what if city, and so between employing between having graduated both Penny Hardaway and Derrick Rose, it's like, man, there's just a lot of question marks about that.
Right.
About what if Mike Conley and Tony Allen had stayed healthy in 2015? Could we have won a championship or gotten close? So there's a lot of what ifs here, and I think this is the latest, and it almost hurts more because we don't have very much to fall back on. And so I would say, having set the scene there, I would say that I guess it's necessary from a perspective of you can't win an NBA championship with what we had. Not now. With Bane, maybe, but I think the second apron also kind of didn't help. I think it was mostly necessary because of the second apron and because of the lack of development, maybe the lack of health too, because there's a lot of unhealthy stuff. And I honestly think, people give John Moran a hard time for his escapades, even though those stopped almost 3 years ago. I think the real problem has been his lack of availability. Far more than any attitude problem. I think having him playing consistently would have worked a lot of this out. And for whatever reason, that just has not happened. And Jaren hasn't been able to pull us up. He's not one of those players that can instantly make you a contender, which, to be fair, those are very rare to get. So that's the weird part is the Grizzlies did a good job of building a team on paper, but then in terms of who was actually healthy and ready to show up, it didn't actually happen that much. So I would say that having this latest what if in the history of Memphis basketball is kind of painful. So from a logical perspective, sure, yeah, it made sense to go into a rebuild at this point. From an emotional perspective, it just seems a little too soon because we did go a few years with disappointments, but there's also something to be said for, again, it not being a what if, because it would have been one thing if they'd stayed healthy and just hadn't gotten there. But on the other hand, that's not what happened, is that there were all these weird injury luck and running out of gas. So yeah, I think it is necessary logically, but emotionally it's just hard to accept, especially because it just feels like a missed opportunity. I think if we had been, like, let's say one of those 90s teams that got swallowed up by either Michael Jordan's Bulls or Hakeem Olajuwon's Rockets, then we would feel a lot differently. If we were like 90s Pacers or Cavs fans in terms of, oh, we tried our hardest. And here it felt like we didn't even get on the battlefield.
What about? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's very well put, Eric. Very well put.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to ask. I subscribe to that. How about the timing? Do you both feel that was good? Because when do you think this started? Because you, Eric, you mentioned Bane, in your answer. Do you both feel that this was something that was brewing at the beginning of the season or end of last season?
To be honest, I had thought somewhat about the financial perspective of it and what that might mean for the future of the team. Of course, other fans had talked about it and stuff like that, but I just didn't understand it. Like I said, I'm fairly new to NBA fandom, and this whole this is our guy, this is what he's worth, and he's definitely going to get this money. But the next thing you know, it's like, but not from us, like you get it from somebody else, and we'll just get more draft capital and we'll see what happens. And like that keeps happening, and it feels weird. I don't know. Feels like a weird way to build a team to me.
You think to? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, agree. There used to be far less of a penalty for if you wanted to spend big, and even the Golden State Warriors, when this started happening, they were like, "Oh no, we're going to keep our money invested in all this. We're going to keep going," and then they totally didn't. and they instantly started, they let Klay Thompson go and all that. So unfortunately, I think everyone shot themselves in the foot with this whole. So, it's a little bit cliche to blame it on the financials, but that is really the cause of so much of this for so many teams. And even the teams that are doing great right now, like the Boston Celtics, they got lucky. Like, they were not supposed to be good, and then they just kind of fell backwards into it. So it just goes back to luck and how much you can pay, which, I do 2K My League simulations a lot, and they always have the financial stuff available. And I'm just like, who's playing this for the financials? Who's trying to, what accountants do you have playing this for the financials? I understand sometimes 2K will have you spend 100,000 per year on a random player, and I'm like, okay, that wouldn't be realistic, but that's all I care about. So yeah, it's a weird thing that the league just kind of kneecapped itself, and now we're every team is dealing with the consequences, and there's a market size part of it for sure, but then there's also the thing of okay, but how much money do the owners of the Lakers and Celtics want to spend too? Because if they're not spending a whole lot of money, then you don't get a whole lot of stars. And that's, I keep looking around the league, and it could be much worse than what we have for sure. I will say that, I'll look at the Lakers and the steal they had for Luka a year ago, and I'm like, that's great. What other draft picks do you have now to trade and make available? What other assets do you have to build a team around him? Because he elevates teams, but I don't know what you do if you're them other than hope that you can get someone on a good contract who wants to play there. But
so like Dallas 2.0.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. The only reason they had Kyrie was because he was damaged goods at the time, and that turned out to be a really good decision, but it didn't have a good, how many gambles like that have we seen in the last 10 years that really didn't pay off, including ours with Marcus Smart?
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah, the theoretical part of it was great. I don't know why he got, yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I get that he wasn't going to work out with us. I get that we had to move on, but why did we trade him when he just played one healthy game? We had to attach a first pick to it, which, by the way, that first pick, what goes around comes around. That first round pick we gave to Washington, they used to draft and trade to Utah, and they selected a guy named Walter Clayton Jr. So that's the hilarious part in all of this is we got our first round pick back that we used on Marcus Smart.
Oh, okay.
That we used to trade Marcus Smart. Isn't that funny? That we got our original draft pick back when we got Walter Clayton Jr. from this trade.
Funny, but not funny. Ha ha.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's hilarious, but that's just my sense of humor.
Now, how do you feel about the way? And I think this for me is the more important. This the thing that struck me the more because I get that teams may have to move on. That I get all that. I get the financial stuff. I get. I may even get the rebuild part. But how do you both feel about the way this whole thing is handled by the front office, by the leaders?
I'm gonna be honest, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I feel like I said it the other day on Twitter. I don't comment very much anymore on Twitter, but I did say that I felt like it was just really weird and not sitting right with me the way that people are kind of already acting like John Morant doesn't even exist. Not even just that he's not on the Grizzlies, but that he doesn't exist. It's really and it starts with the team because I mean they don't promote him at all anymore. They don't focus on him at all anymore. I understand he's not playing. I get that. And I know that things were kind of weird at the beginning of the season as far as his attitude was concerned, but I feel like there's an undercurrent or current, of course, that we're not seeing, we're not privy to. But yeah, I don't like the way it's being handled, honestly. I mean, Jaren, it is what it is with Jaren. Like, They showed respect. There was no weirdness leading up to it. It was just like one day he was on the Grizzlies, and the next day, it was like, oh well, he's gone now. But like with Ja, like he's still there, and it's like people are just acting like he's not. It's just really weird to me. It's very unsettling. Of course, I I prioritize the human aspect of the game more than anything else, and so it's bothersome to me. I don't like players being disrespected in that way. I understand players get what they get, if they behave a certain way, but I feel like Ja's like misbehavior, quote unquote, has been overstated by all and sundry, honestly. So yeah, it feels wrong to me. I don't know.
So you feel like the Grizzlies are like being dirty?
I'm sorry.
You feel like some way across this last month, the Grizzlies did him dirty. Like
The
the way
Grizzlies what?
did him dirty.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I don't know. It's just business, or it's business, like great, okay, it's business, but like this is a business of people, so I don't know. It just, like I said, I do feel that way in a way. They haven't done anything that yet necessarily, except for, like I said, kind of just to pretend like he doesn't exist, and that's to me weird in itself.
Yeah. And okay, Eric, how do you feel about the way this whole thing was handled?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting, because, and I think about this a lot because I heard Gary Parrish talk about this. Shout out Gary, right after it was heard that the Grizzlies were entertaining trade offers, and his whole thing was, okay, think about how you acted at Ja's age, how you personally saw the world. Would you be able to handle all this, or something like that? And I really appreciate that, because I think part of the reason why Jaren is such an easygoing guy, I mean, it is part of his personality. It's also because what's the third J in his name? Junior. His dad was a journeyman, and his mom, I think, still works as a lawyer for the WNBA Players Association. And so, it's great that he's acting professionally. He also has it kind of built into his blood in a way a lot of other people don't. Is what I would say with that kind of context of, I think just like the getting traded thing, it's like I'm sure he's not enjoying it, but his dad was passed around every year or so, and then just happened to land on the Spurs when he won a ring. So I think sometimes it takes that change of scenery, unfortunately, and that's the thing with Morant is to the human aspect, as Rebecca said, which I completely agree with. Some people are just mad at players for messing up their parlays. And for me, it's like, well, is this person okay? Do they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders? We see this happening with the Olympics right now. Just people valuing athletes more by how they behave or what they believe or what their numbers are than the fact that they're actually people who can hear what you say on the internet and who are going to have to work with some bosses that might not get along with them very well. And so with the Grizzlies, I just feel like on both sides, there hasn't been as much communication as there should be. But I really feel like the front office kind of at a certain point had to make the move of saying, what can we do to make this work? And I understand the falling out. I understand, like, there have been way worse player front office relationships than what we're seeing right now. I don't think John Morant is unique in that. And I think that's going to change when and if he gets shipped. The thing is that, both sides have just been so freaking stubborn. And as the front office, you kind of have to be the one to make the first move, in my opinion. And that's not necessarily universal, but not everyone's going to agree with me on that. But at the same time, it's like Ja was the one who was suspended. Ja had to go to therapy. Ja had to face way more consequences for this than the front office ever did. And so that's the thing, is a lot of the time it's his name on the line, not the front office. And so I just wish they'd put more skin in the game or have some more outward show of trust, even if they don't completely, even if they're kind of lying. But, when you don't say the names of people who you're depending on, like they recently left out Gigi Jackson's name. then sometimes you're opening yourself up to a lot of stuff. And so I'm glad that Gigi took that well and took it as a challenge to start playing really well. But that could have just they got very close to making a very similar mistake to what they did with Ja. And so that's my thing is the front office. I'm not going to blame them for everything that's happening, but it does seem like they're not as accountable to the public as Ja Morant is.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned accountable, and I want to ask you, because it's something that I keep thinking a lot. Okay, we went into a rebuild, so because the next generation Grizzlies didn't work out, shouldn't, in your opinion, like for me, it's shouldn't, in your opinion, like the front office, in this case, the GM, Zach Lyman, be held accountable by the failure of its own project? Because it really twists my mind that because in our daily lives, in our jobs, if we have goals to achieve and we get to choose our team, and if we don't reach those goals, we are held accountable. And what I see from the front office of the Grizzlies is that Zach Lyman is now going on a rebuild, so it's going on a second try, and I see no accountability at all. I don't mean that he necessarily needs to get fired or something, but the feeling I get, it's all to blame on the players, whether it's Jais, Jaren, was Bain, was Brooks before, whatever. But I don't see any accountability from the very people that choose those players, that choose the supporting cast for those players. And I just feel that it is really awkward. I feel like, come on, you're the leader. You have to take accountability, even if it's your fault, even if you're not fully responsible for the way this person act or the other one or the injuries or stuff. But still, if you're the leader, you should be accountable. What do you think about this?
But I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna, send their friend in the C-suite out, like
Yeah.
I just
They did this a little bit well. And of course, with the question of accountability, there's also the question of Robert Pera being held accountable for stuff that has nothing to do with basketball, and yet, there's as a side note, everyone's like, why is it Grind City Media speaking out about this? I'm like, go take that energy to Adam Silver, please. He's the one with like Grind City Media. Everyone in Memphis, they can't do anything about this but anyway, I think I would say so. Accountability, I think what you're talking about is relegation, and that happens often, and people have been tossing that around for the NBA. We had a version of that in the NBA in the last 10 years, actually, and this is actually between siblings, because the Buss family, who's still in charge of the Lakers, Jeannie Buss has kind of been pulling the strings for the last decade plus since her dad died in 2013. But what ended up happening was, I think she was the president and her brother Jim was like a GM or something like that. And this is the children of John C. Reilly's character on Winning Time on HBO Max, which I highly recommend. So the Busses, what happened was Jim said, all right, we're going to get out of this rebuild now that Kobe's gone. We're going to get back to the playoffs in 3 years, or I'm going to leave this place. You can fire me after that. And that's exactly what happened. They tried all these things, didn't work out. And finally, Jim Buss had to be fired by his own sister, which was messy and awful. And then Magic Johnson came in. That didn't work out either. And finally, they were saved when LeBron fell into their lap. But before the LeBron stuff, like, there was accountability of, okay, this is our vision. We're not getting to that vision or anywhere close. So you're going to have to face the consequences. And that's part of what's going on here is it does feel like a lot of this attempt at contending was on Zach Kleiman and Robert Pera's shoulders, and that it's up to them now to kind of get themselves out of it, which can be encouraging on the one hand because we are very good at drafting, but on the other hand is like you never know what's going to happen with a rebuild. And where I would say and give them a little bit of credit is that the Grizzlies rebuild, I think, bears way more similarity to the structured rebuilds that we've seen recently. Like with the Spurs, when they decided to tank for Wembanyama, it was like, okay, we've got Devin Vassell and we've got Keldon Johnson. We can trade them if we need to, but we do think they can be good pieces in the future. So we're going to stick around those and then see what happens in the lottery. So I am relieved to kind of have us have that direction forward. You never know what you're going to get in the lottery, but I am relieved that at least there's an intended direction and the rookies are a little bit older. That doesn't guarantee anything, but it is a step up from, say, the Kings or the Wizards or the Hornets for a while. And yeah, so I am a little bit optimistic about a rebuild. I don't know that I want the same coach and GM and front office around when hopefully the Grizzlies get back to the playoffs. But yeah, it's not a bad thing to rebuild right now, and I'm glad that there's at least a plan. There honestly seems to be more of a plan for this rebuild than we had a year ago for anything. So at the very least, we picked a side. I can feel a little bit of relief in that, even if it's not, yay, I love that we're going into a rebuild, because nobody.
I don't feel this. I'm sorry. I'm going to interject. I don't feel this because what did they have? And then they did nothing with it. So what are they going to do in the future? You know what I mean? Like, so you have something. It's good. Now what? Now what? I mean, because stars don't want to come here, and Robert Perry doesn't want to spend the money, and so you get another Jaw caliber star with another Jaren caliber supporting player, another Dez caliber support. If you're lucky, if things turn out the way that you want them to, then what? Are they going to do the right thing and build the team out the way that it should be to contend, or are they just going to pull more of the same things?
That's why I said I'm fine with this staff for a rebuild, but not for anything past that.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Rebecca, this that you said, it brings me back to 2022, I think, and I was doing my homework for this, and I do feel like 2022 we were in the playoffs. We lost against the Warriors. We were in a good spot. Then the next season came. We lost to the Lakers, but we had Steven Adams and DC out. But I do feel like the whole supporting cast, the players, from that point on, they were not as good. Now they are better, but with all due respect, we were on the playoffs. And again, with all due respect, with David Roddy, Zaire, Jack LaRavia, Kenny Lofton Jr. So I feel like also there was the work from the front office and supporting, especially Jaren and Grizz, was not as good as it could be, not near, and therefore nothing can grant that in the future. Okay, we're gonna rebuild. We get some good pieces, but what now? If 2 years we're back in the playoffs, and then what next? It's gonna be the same. That's what I think. That's what I feel. Like for instance, I thought about this, and I want to ask you if you agree, if you don't agree, if you think I'm crazy, but because we had this thing going with OKC, and 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 years ago, OKC, they were, before they were tanking for players, then they made the play-in, as we did against the Warriors in 2021, I believe. Then they were a second round exit, as we were. They were against the Mavs, and we were against the Warriors. And when we Grizzlies start double down on youth with David Rodney, Zaire, Jack Arabia, okay, see, with a different thing. They went and got Arkenstein, Caruso, and they won a championship. It's a different way to move. What do you think about this? Are you there?
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. Hang on.
Eric, you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I think I don't think anyone walked away from the 2021 to 22 roster and said, all right, we've got all our pieces in place. We can win a title with this. I don't think anyone walked away from that saying that was the end game, that it was perfect the way it was. I don't think anyone walked away in 22, 23 doing that. I do think the primary problem was doubling and tripling down on youth, and Kleiman did that. He admitted it, and then he kept doing it. That's been the problem with the whole thing.
Right.
Is that there are ways you can get, there are ways you can get people over to your side. There are ways you can trade various picks. You can trade players and things like that. And the reason I know that the front office is capable of it is they did this for draft picks all the time, but never for players. Just kept accumulating assets and assets and assets. And then they didn't make a move. And you got to do that. I mean, even if it's something as small as Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso, like what the Thunder did, which they didn't even have to give many picks in that. But even if they had, it would have been seen as a wise investment, even if they hadn't won the title, because at least they did it. So that's where I'm kind of confused is you don't always have to make those moves, but you better make sure what you got is a true contender. And this is where I think the Spurs are such a model for this, because it's not just that they draft some of the best players of all time. It's that they know which talent to put around there. They can assess which are long-term pieces and which can step in for stretches of time. And I don't think there was that. I think it was just, this is what we theoretically want this player to be, as opposed to what this player actually was. And that's been a frustration too, because the scouting has been really, really good, of course, for rookies, but that's supposed to be around the margins, or it's supposed to be for someone who can make a difference right now. And I don't think we've had a high enough lottery pick to do that.
Yeah.
Right, nor a savvy enough front office to make that kind of move that you mentioned that OKC did, Caruso for Giddey. Not a huge, neither one of them huge stars, although Caruso is coming off, very, feel good Lakers, not career, but years, whatever. You hear people say like, well, stars don't want to go to Memphis. It's a small market, blah, blah, blah. But nobody said that when nobody says that when players get traded to places that are not places like Memphis. You know what I mean? It's they don't have a say. That's what people always say. They don't have a say. They wake up one day and they're traded, so why does it, when it comes to Memphis, it's like, oh, they don't want to come here, so they're not coming here. So I feel like, no, it's a matter of the front office being savvy and being aggressive, and they're neither in the case of making trades to, like you said, build out around, build a team that can contend.
Yeah. And
I don't think sorry, go ahead.
To that point, I think people confuse small markets can't get free agents with small markets can't get superstar free agents. So we're not a big destination, but as we've seen in the last 20 years, that tends to be more of a problem than an asset for a lot of people. So it's like, it's like, can you get a championship level big man or 3-and-D role player who can come off the bench in free agency? Absolutely. If you offer them enough money that you can. And again, I know we can do this because we did it with Ty Jerome. I mean, Ty Jerome, that wasn't a huge free agent steal, but it was like, here, we're going to give you this money where no one else can, and we know you're worth it. And when he's touched the floor, he's been worth it. And I'm not saying that means that we could have magically gone on a run, but yeah, it's like there's been just enough to believe that theoretically it can happen. But then when it looks like we're just one piece away, the front office goes, oh, you know what? We're going to just bank on draft picks again.
Precisely. Yeah, precisely. And I remember, Eric, you once told me Zach Lemon is very good at drafting, but not good at contending. I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
You want to elaborate a bit on that?
Yes. And that was, I'm not like, I don't feel like I have a side on the Taylor Jenkins is great or Taylor Jenkins is terrible thing. But as soon as he was fired and everyone was celebrating, I was like, I think we can do a lot worse than him. It's not that he's some great coach, but it's that he was decent enough. So I'm not saying that it's a big like downgrade, that any coach could have done better than Tuomas Islo is doing, because I'm not a big fan of his, but I'm like, I don't know what you do with this roster. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this. So I don't envy anyone who has to coach the roster we've had the last 3 years. I really don't.
No kidding. Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for coaches because I'm like, I don't know, man. You can only do what the front office gives you, and it's not very often that you're a joint executive and coach. And when you are, it doesn't tend to work out that well. So, yeah, I feel sorry for Islo and Jenkins, even though I don't love either of their coaching methods. But I'm like, man, a chef can only do so much with their ingredients.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
How you feel about Islo, Rebecca?
Initially, I was very high on him. You know, I watched a lot of footage of his time in the EuroLeague, and I thought, like, oh, here's a guy who's been in basketball, you know, from his youth as a player, and then a player coach, and then a coach, and a winning coach at that. But you know, it's like Eric said, there's only so much you can do with what you have to work with, and you know, you said you hadn't read Jaren's letter yet, and he does say like Coach Islo is a good coach and he's a coach that wants to win and you want that, you know, but you know, how do you win with what you've got going on? And did he know coming in like what the situation was going to be like? So on the one hand, you know, like my opinion of him has definitely dropped, but at the same time, like how much of it is really his fault? What have we really seen of his potential as a coach if the roster hasn't been, you know, much to work with, you know? So but then also, like, I think back to last season when Jaren was on a career year run and things started to fall apart, and then here comes the coaching swap, and it just felt like, oh, now things have gone from bad to worse somehow, and I, you know, I would be resentful if I were Jaren and T.I. I don't know. But I mean, you know, again, like I already stated from the very start that I'm very emotional. So
oh, I am too.
Yeah. So I you know, bad situation. Did he know? I don't know. Could he do better? Maybe, probably, but we can't tell because what has he done with an NBA roster? And is this really an NBA roster? I mean, you're talking about like, you know, the guys that are like your quote unquote vets, they're not playing. Everybody that's on the floor is a first or second year player. And I mean, hey, you know, you see flashes of great things and it's fun, you know. Meshack has been great. I love him that he's gotten more time in these circumstances is bad, I guess, but I've loved seeing him. I love his hustle. I love his energy. Yeah, things like that. But it is what it is, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
and I've said before, like my pet theory, and I'm not the only one, is that the Grizzlies, but we're also not the only ones that think this as far as a fan base of their team, that we're like, you know, a feeder team for the league. And, you know, the players that we farm out don't always work out, but plenty of them do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to that, another person like that I'm thinking of, it was Jock Landale before he got traded, and then Lawson Lubbering. I mean, my goodness, that's whew, your first game as a pro is guarding Nikola Jokic. It's like, all right, good luck. And then we saw him against Utah last night, and it was like, oh, okay, all right, he's got this when he doesn't have to go up against, the best player in the world. So and maybe that adds to the frustration of there's so many Grizzlies who are trying, even the ones we just got in the Utah trade, and to see a front office that's definitely not with the program there, and maybe even a coach that may or may not be. Mm-hmm. And I feel sorry for the players and as well as for Isolo, because you don't know what you're going to wake up to. And I love Jemai Meshack getting minutes. I really do. As a center, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, didn't we start Conchar as a center? So, like,
yes.
Yeah. And this is the Grizzlies. You just kind of
I don't think that's like Isolo being like Steve Kerr going, no, nobody over 6'6". I do think that's actually Isolo going, man, what else am I supposed to do here?
Right.
Yeah. How do you both feel about this young? Because with the players that you like the most, in this weird situation, you both mentioned Meshack. Others that you want to mention?
Yeah, I've loved GG this season. I really have. I mean, I know that's like the common bright spot, I guess, for people to mention, but it is true. He has made strides, and I love to see that. I love small, but undersized point guards in the league today. I'm not sure like where his potential lies. Yuki's an undersized guard doing fun things that people love to see, but he's also Japanese, so he's a novelty, So, I don't know. Small Meshack, Edie. I mean, it's so funny because like there's so many players that have been out all season. Like I don't even think about them as being Grizzlies anymore in a way. Like, okay, we've got this great player. He's on the bench, and then he's probably going to play. He's probably going to get a good contract, and he's probably going to be traded away. So I don't even know like what the point of being invested in them is in a way. Not to say that I really feel that way. And obviously, if they put him out there and they are winning, then be sucked right back in. But at the moment, it just feels like I feel sort of divorced from the whole thing, which is weird. I'm a huge fan and I watch basketball every night that I can. So it does feel very, very weird, but like I said, it's still so fresh for me. It's been, it's been 3 weeks and most people are just like, it's been 3 weeks. All right, let's move on, whatever. And I'm just like, it's only been 3 weeks, and I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, when you asked me to do the pot, this weekend, and I was just like, yeah, I really haven't been keeping up with basketball since the All-Star break. Like the All-Star games were such a letdown and like so awful. And I just was like, you know what, whatever. I just read books and listened to records. I was like, I just don't care about basketball right now.
Oh, yeah. I'll say this. I was very happy the Winter Olympics came on when they did. Because otherwise,
that's fair.
I would have been very mopey if I couldn't go watch Team USA compete. So I perfectly understand that. And granted, not much has been happening in basketball over 2 weeks. So I don't think you've missed much.
Right.
People saying the All-Star game was good. And I'm like, that's news to me. Okay.
Really?
I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it.
I have not seen that.
Part of it is because they put it on NBC, and as much as I love the TNT guys, NBC actually has some, respect.
No, yeah, their production quality for NBA this season has been great. I agree. It's been very good.
Them in Prime, I'm just like, wow, you can do this on TV? Sweet. To answer the original question, Walter Clayton Jr., I tend to like guys like that who are competitive and who want to prove at the next level, because for whatever reason, we really like old rookies who have gone far in the NCAA tournament in Memphis, which, I mean, I've kind of missed that player archetype for a long time. I love one and dones like Cooper Flag, but I'm also like, I don't know, man. I kind of wouldn't mind having an upperclassman like Klay Thompson or Steph Curry or Tim Duncan when they came into the league. So I do like that part of the approach, and I hope that they will develop into something that can at least be NBA role players or stars. Because I've really liked Cedric Coward and the advancements he's made, and I think the ceiling would be like having him and Gigi as a version of Brown and Tatum, which is just a homer take I'm hoping for, but still more than anything Bill Simmons has ever said. So, I'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there, but potential doesn't sell tickets, and it doesn't provide that instant gratification we're used to in this modern age. So unfortunately, this is like one of the best stages for scouting and for watching all the games. It's not good for anything you have to wait for. So I think there's part of humanity that takes over there. That's like, really? We're rooting for our teams to lose now? Okay.
That is so awful. I hate it.
Yeah. I want to ask you. You brought this up, Eric, and I want to ask you, how do you all feel about this crazy NBA tanking going on right now? Because it's crazy. Today I was on Twitter and I was seeing it was Jazz fans, but it could be Wizards fans or Grizzlies fans, doesn't matter. It was Jazz fans. They were like they were seeing like 10 games and see how many they could lose.
Oh my God. The race to the bottom. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, we beat the Jazz last night, and now we only have 3 wins more than they do.
We beat the Jazz last night because the Jazz did not want to win. I mean, like, at all. And you know what? I'm behind him for that, because I'm sorry. Yes, I just said I did just say it's awful, and I do really feel that way. But also, I don't want OKC to get their pick. So, if they can keep it, that's to me ideal. I hate the way it has to happen. And going forward, I don't want to see this as much anymore. But I don't want OKC to get that pick. So
that's been my running joke for a while. Whenever the Grizzlies lose, is hey, at least we're preventing the Spurs or the Thunder from getting a better pick in theory. Like, hey, we're losing the battle, but we'll win the war for watchable basketball.
So awful, dude.
It's very interesting to see those kinds of Sam Presti. I heard he's agitating behind the scenes about this, and it's like you have their pick. You want it to fall out of the top 8. Like, does the league not realize this? Tanking to me isn't even on the top 3 things I'm most concerned about, and part of that's because I'm a sicko who loves to see player development. Say what you will about the Grizzlies' current state, it is a little bit easier to watch than most college basketball. I'm sorry, college basketball fans, but I think it's true. I love college basketball, but come on, we're still watching people who get paid to do this as their job. That being said, the tanking situation, I mean, it's not ideal, but I also think the league set this up, and I don't think there would be nearly this much concern if not for gambling companies, and how so much of the time, like, you'll see NBA on TNT talk about, like Bobby Portis, I think, was this season, who couldn't play for a while because he took the wrong medication once. And they're doing it with the Lily logo in the corner of their screen.
Oh my God. We are like through the looking glass.
Yes. The betting scandals happen so many times too. Like, you'll see the gambling stuff in the corner when they're talking about, Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. And it's like, huh? The sponsorships are one thing, but putting them up on the screen while you're talking about this. So, it seems like, I think this is a weird analogy, but I think the NBA and Disney have a very similar problem of, like, they've always been corporate, but there used to be this veneer of, or this mask they put on of where it would stop. And now it's just, they're both being driven to maximize profits and maximize eyeballs. And so it's very weird to see all this tanking discourse and also know that there are overs and unders that aren't being hit and that people are being harassed for not. There's so many people on Twitter I've seen who have bet the over on Jaren Jackson rebounds. And I'm like, what are we like? Would Allen Iverson have gotten harassed back in the day because people bet the over on assists? What is this?
It's so gross, man. Oh my God. I abhor gambling. I hate it.
Yeah.
And it being an official partner in a sports league, like that's just crazy to me. It skirts a much larger conversation I don't want to have. But yeah, like we're in the worst times. I mean, obviously,
I'm so out of touch. I will see these gambling folks randomly get mad at players, and I'll be like Jaren, but also other players who like never do anything wrong. And I'm like, why are you mad at this guy? Well, because he didn't get 7 rebounds. He doesn't average 7 rebounds. What are you talking about?
Very weird, dude. It's very weird.
Every Grizzlies, even the betting Grizzlies fans were like, take the under on Jaren rebounds. Do yourself a favor.
Yeah, it's almost like they feel like they can force a player to be what they idealize them to be by betting a certain line or something, and then when they don't hit it, it's like, they're the ones hitting themselves in the face with a hammer, but they're going to blame this dude on the court. Like I don't know, it's so weird. And the level of like animosity and vitriol that's attached to it is way out of bounds. Way out of bounds. Yeah, these are your choices you're making with your money. So who's to blame here? Who are you yelling at?
Yeah, that's right. It's the players that are to blame for my gambling problem.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I love at the end of all those ads, it'll always be, need gambling help? Call this number. Okay.
Sickening.
That's gonna fix this whole thing.
Well, it's always down to the individual, isn't it? Not the the organization, not the system.
Yeah, we're not responsible for anything you guys do.
And this circles back to the conversation that you had about accountability for the front office. I mean, there is none.
Yeah, it's like this job was not easy to do before social media. Now people have money riding on this.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
I will say one other point that I meant to say earlier, which is that as much as I don't love the rebuild, I was and am still baffled by Utah doing this. That Utah put all their cards on the table while also kind of tanking, but I just say what you will about the Grizzlies choosing to tank. They are in a competitive Western Conference. With Utah, I'm like, so is this move going to make you better than OKC or San Antonio? Is it going to get you out of the play-in? What's going on here? So at least I'm glad that we seem to have more of a direction than Danny Ainge being a spoiled, rotten Boston Celtic and not used to missing the playoffs. Because that was my theory about that trade, was Danny Ainge is just so used to contending. He was like, just do something so we can contend. I love Jaren Jackson. Let's do this. So I love Jaren. I believe in him. I also don't know that he's the difference between Utah beating those 2 or 3 teams and not.
Okay, so, but the whole team is not Jaren. This is what's weird to me is like people are, in conversations like these, put it all down to one player, but he's part of a team. And I think that the addition of him to Markkanen and Kessler, I think that's going to be something to contend with. I mean, individually, maybe not. Together, though, 3 near 7-footers, I think that they can do something with that. And I think that, too much emphasis is placed on, is this one player the difference maker? It's a collective. It's literally a team sport. It's in the name, So I don't know. I feel like they can do something. We'll see, though.
I personally feel like Alex Caruso could shut all 3 of them down at once. But that's
interesting.
After what we saw with Jaren last year, love Jaren, but he got locked up by Alex Caruso. So I don't know, man.
Okay. I want to ask both of you if for some final thoughts about the Grizzlies going forward. Whatever you feel about going forward, and I'll leave my own thoughts about going forward. I've been a Grizzlies fan for 4 years now, for 2022 already. I will forever be a Grizzlies fan. That I know now for sure, but Grizzlies are changing and I am still here. And I am much like the same way like Rebecca feels. I am very emotional about this. The team I got to know is being, it was tore apart or something. And it kind of hurts me. I know that with time, I hope and I know that things will change. I think that I know that with time, with wins, and time heals a lot of things. It may not heal everything, but it heals a lot of things. And excitement will be there again, for sure. I feel that. I know that. But it's not going to lie. It's been difficult times for me as a previous fan. But it's part of growing, I guess. So both of you been business fans for longer than me. Your thoughts on the future? Rebecca, you go first because Eric is the older one here. Please take time.
Well, I just want to say we kind of did the thing that I complained about at first. We didn't talk about Ja at all. Like, what do we think Ja's future with the team is, or no, not at all? I mean, like, is he gone over the summer, or what do we think is going to happen with that?
Okay, I was going to ask that. What do you think? Do you think that?
I'm not sure. I'm
Wait.
not.
Because I had 3 questions about Ja here. It was the first one I did ask you. It was the Grizzlies did him dirty. The second one, do you think he will play again this season?
People are saying that he will, but I don't know. There are only like a couple dozen games left, right? Like 25 or 6 games left.
If he comes back in 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, like 20 games, I believe. I'm not really sure, but I believe so. But then again, I get like, so you're playing, if you're trying to trade him, why, and you're trying to tank at the same time, why are you going to play him for, like, it's messy.
Right, yeah.
I see the point in playing him, but then I don't see it at all, and well,
right. No, I agree.
I don't even see the point in trading him, but let's start with, and yeah, the second question, do you think, and it's for both of you, it's for you, Eric, do you think that there's any possibility that he could stay? Because they wanted to trade him in by February 5th. They didn't. I don't think its value is going to increase now. And I think that a lot of his trade value was so so low, was a lot of Grizzlies was saying we're trying to get rid of this problem, okay, basically. So if you're trying to get rid of a problem, you're not going to get great value of him. So do you think that there's any chance that Jammer can stay with Grizzlies coming next season?
Eric?
Yeah, so for Ja's future, maybe he plays a few more. I think I would play him a few more games. We'll see if he actually does or not. I would say that that he's probably gone next season, would be my guess. Because it was interesting. The framing around this, and I don't know a whole lot more than anybody else, but the framing around it was nobody wants Ja Morant. And that's not actually true. He had at least 4 teams after asking after him. It's just that the front office wasn't willing to just give him away for nothing. That's the kind of distinction here, was that I think what I heard the deal they had set up with the Miami Heat was they would send him there in exchange for a first-round pick, which they thought was too much, but they would have taken on the Terry Rozier contract, which he's in his own trouble for multiple gambling scandals.
Right.
And so that's kind of interesting too, that it's like, wait, they would have paid you to take Terry Rozier's contract off their hands. You would have gotten a star player who wanted to play there, and you said no. Like, you guys don't. Those guys don't tend to value first round picks, but that's a deal that a lot of Grizzlies fans wouldn't have loved. I would have been like, okay, I don't love it, but I would take it. But like, that alone tells you the kind of offers they were trying to get for him that are a good combination of you can see it if you squint, but also yeah, it's like, I'm like, that's not a great deal, but I understand why you would want that. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting too, that his value isn't great right now, but it's not at the point of nobody wants him. Like, people do. Everyone has a price, and the Grizzlies weren't able to take him didn't want to give him away for table scraps. And I don't know if it was right or wrong to trade him, but I know I certainly would have been like, you got to do something to get Terry Rozier off your books. And I was just about to help you with that. So I thought that was kind of reasonable for them to give them something they really wanted. And but they're not doing it for free. And so that's kind of and Heat fans didn't like that they turned down that deal either. So yeah, that's the thing, is it's not true. Like, so next time you hear somebody say, oh, nobody wants Ja Morant, I wouldn't take that seriously or literally. But they just didn't want him for nothing in return, which, that just happened with Giannis too. It happens all the time that teams want to trade their players and they don't do it because they didn't get a return they liked. I mean, it happened with Scottie Pippen in 97, 98. You can see it in The Last Dance. So that's not to say Ja is Scottie Pippen or Giannis. He is not. But it is to say that the front office, for all their faults, weren't willing to accept a terrible deal for Ja Morant, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But don't you think that they put themselves in this situation, like, by announcing that they were entertaining offers for Ja, that instantly drops the value? I mean,
yeah, I understand that they wanted to trade him, and I don't necessarily think that was the wrong move. I do think publicizing it was. I think they probably would have gotten a better deal if they'd done it behind closed doors. I think the Luka deal kind of taught us that. But Rebecca, I think you wanted to chime in.
No, that there was some chatter about, that they did the way that they did with Ja, to actually pique interest around Jaren. Because Jaren had the contract, the newly signed contract. He was cheaper in the first year than any of the remaining years of the contract. So, they start putting it out that they want to trade Ja Morant. Okay, the very first thing that people said was, well, they're going to be getting rid of Jaren Jackson Jr. And so there is speculation that they did that in order to start, getting offers on Jaren and getting off of him before the next year of his contract, or before the contract kicked into the point where they're paying the higher years salary. Like, that's kind of crazy that you would sacrifice a player, like Ja Morant, to be able to get good offers for Jaren. So I don't know, like, if that would really be a thing that they would do, but considering the the bad, quote unquote, bad behavior at the beginning of the season, bad attitude, quitting on the team, that kind of stuff, that there was already this kind of friction and discord that was on display. And so, yeah, like, you might as well use that to your advantage to get something good for Jaren. And they feel like they did. So maybe they did what they meant to do. I don't know.
And to that point, both out of the supposed big three that we were supposed to take into this era, it's kind of weird that Jaren and Dez both went to destinations like we did not have on our bingo card.
Right.
Like no one was saying Dez to the Magic and Jaren to the Jazz. And, I'm not overly optimistic about this. I just know logically that our coaching and front office situations could be much worse than this. We're not in the bottom 5 organizations. And I say that because the Warriors could have had Jaren and they went after Giannis and they got neither, which is so funny to me. That's just like, oh, come on, because that's what they needed. With the Magic, it's like, I mean, they're not doing great now. Maybe that's the thing that happens in a year. Maybe you get a coaching change. Honestly, for us, it's like, hey, feel free to contend next year. We're good with you guys being in the middle this year. As long as we get the pick, we're good.
Right.
So that might be the case with Ja too, where it's like, I didn't see him going to that team, but fair enough. And someone even said, wow, someone could get John Moran in the expansion draft between Vegas and Seattle when it expands. Like, that would be terrifying and hilarious at the same time. So you never know where this is going to happen, and so I'm glad that they didn't at least do the salary dump thing they did with Marcus Smart. I'm glad they didn't resort to that.
That would be awful. Yeah. So, Rebecca, you want to share some thoughts on the Grizzlies going forward now?
I mean, I'll be watching. I hope the best, can happen. I mean, the product that we'll see next season, I hope it's exciting. And but I don't know what it will be. How can you say? I don't know. Ty Jerome's already shut down again, right?
I think he's playing tonight.
Oh, is he? Okay. I see. I can't.
Yeah.
No.
I
feel like I just. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be watching. Now my attention will be split because I'm still, it's funny. This is how like maudlin and sentimental I am. I'm watching Jaren's rookie season of Grizzlies games right now, and I was listening, to the commentary on one of the preseason games, 2018, and this is sick. I'm admitting right now, watching the preseason games as well as the whole season. But one of the announcers was like, I'm a fan of players, and I feel the same way. I mean, like an organization, yes, it's a group of people, but it's also like an organization, and so anyway, Jaren's still my favorite player. I'll be watching Jazz games. It is what it is. So my attention will be split, but I'm hopeful for the Grizzlies. They've got some good little pieces, and we'll see what happens. And I hate the way that they run their business, but I love Memphis, and I love the team, so I will be watching. As far as what the product will be, I'm not sure. I can't predict. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, a thought occurred to me that we could become a playoff team again in like 6 years, and then you bring Jaren back as the missing piece on a championship team when he's 32. I'm like, that weirder things have. I'm like, we could do like a Jason Kidd Back to the Mavericks thing where it's like, wow, okay, this just fell in our laps. Isn't that nice? That was the hilarious part. I was like, he's got so many years left in his career. He might come back. You never know. I felt the same way about Magic games as Rebecca's talking about Utah games, which is like, I'll be cheering the Magic because I can root against the Suns. That's whose good pick we could have gotten. So and we still could. So it's when Devin Booker got hurt, I was like, that could get interesting. I feel sorry for him, but also, it's I mean, the league, this happens all the time, and it's easy to say that, and then with your brain and then your heart goes after something else. but yeah, this is hard. It's hard to say goodbye. It is. It
Yeah.
is, because there was saying goodbye to Jaren, which is horrible, but then also saying goodbye to this idea of the Grizzlies contending, because it wasn't until a year ago that we were like the 2 or 3 seed in the West, and even looking back on that right before the trade deadline, we were at number 2. I was like, how the hell are we the 2 seed? How do
Yeah.
we have home court? Like, this roster should not be having the top 4 advantage, even with Desmond Bain and all those guys. And then it plummeted, but I was like, okay, 7th or 8th seed feels a bit more like what this roster was built for. And so yeah, it's just, and you never know. I don't want to have hopium. I don't want to be too optimistic, but this league changes so fast nowadays that you never know. And so I'm just embracing sitting back and seeing what comes of it, I guess, as I'm grieving.
Yeah.
That's wise. That's wise.
Don't read the letter before work like I did, like an idiot. I mean, I was literally wailing in my dining room with my laptop, like, loading up all my programs stuff. Like, no. My dogs are like, what the hell is going on? Why is she screaming? It was, it's a beautiful letter. He loves Memphis, and that's what I love about him. That's one of the things I love about him. It's like how he wears his heart on his sleeve, how he, loved the city that embraced him, so, and that he grew up in, in a lot of ways. So, yeah, don't read the letter unless you got some time. Just gotta be to yourself.
That is why I'm holding off. I know the tears that are going to come when I read it. I know very well. And I started following the Grizzlies during the grit and grind days. So, I mean, I'm still in tears whenever Mike Conley comes home, and I'm really excited to see him retire and come back. So if you're watching the broadcast, you'll see a lot of grit and grind stuff and jersey retirement stuff. And so that's part of why I'm so quote unquote wise about this. It's not because I'm a monk or whatever. It's because I've been hurt and I have scar tissue from the grit and grind days. So I'm like, hey, didn't think we were going to get to Grizz next gen so quick after that. So,
Yeah.
I know the cycle comes back around quicker than you think.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
Unless you're the Kings or the Wizards or the Hornets, and we're not.
Good grief, man. Good grief. It could always be worse.
What I like to say about the Wizards is the Wizards are a monkey's paw franchise where they got one championship back in the day, and they've been paying for it for almost 50 years.
That's terrible.
Look, I want to thank both of you for being here. Beginning, I didn't do this for a long time, and I want to do this with special people to me, and both of you are special people to me, special good friends, special companions on this road, this route, whatever. And so, shout out to both of you. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you, and shout out Portugal, as always.
Yeah, as always, we always do that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And we will get that back together better times, I'm sure. So thank you, and much love for both of you, for Portugal and your Grizz. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.